welcome to the Pony Podcast YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about tack cleaning and why it's important and what you can check on your tack when you go to clean it. So I jumped my horse this morning and her tack got a bit sweaty, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you guys how I clean my tack and why you should clean your tack, because it's dirty and needs cleaning. So I'm just going to grab it and then I can hang it up and we can get going. I always like to have it on a hook so it's easy to see what you're doing. Cool. And then I'm going to go and get some water. I'm really lucky I've got hot water here. Hot water's best because you can really get the grease off well with it. But if you haven't got hot water ready, you can just boil a kettle and then add some cold water. Always like a bit of recycling here, so I've recycled a supplement tub as my water bucket. So the first thing I do when I clean my tack is take my bit off, because then it gets a chance to soak in the water and you can get it really clean, and then it's nicer for your horse. It also means that you get the opportunity to check your billets and your reins better, because if you leave it done up you might miss somewhere that there's some stitching come out, because that's the real reason that you clean your tack. It's not because you're told to or because you have to look shiny for shows. It's really so you can keep it nice and supple, so it feels nice for your horse when they wear it, and it also gives you the chance to check if there's anything wrong with it that could potentially make it dangerous for you when you ride. Like, I've had it before when I've ridden some horses and the reins come off when I'm riding, and that's not ideal. So this sort of gives you the chance to check all that. So I'm just going over it with the water now to clean the grease off. Start at the top, work your way down. Everyone's got their own method, but I always take the buckles, the leather out, the keepers on the buckles, because it means you can get underneath it and you don't miss any of the tack. Also make sure you check these bits because they get quite greasy and they can rub on your horse. I know people think that your horse just wears the tack, but I know mine is always a lot happier to have her bridle on when it's clean than when it's not. And I mean, you guys have seen my horse. She's very expressive, so you can understand the faces she pulls when she's not that happy about her bridle. When you use the sponge, you don't want it too wet. You want to squeeze it out when it's damp, because if you make it too wet, that's not great for leather either. It just needs to be damp enough you can give it a good scrub, and then you can get all the grease off like this. And wring it out when it gets a bit dirty, so that you're always using a clean sponge. So yeah, you keep going over the bridle with your sponge until you've got all the grease off. You can be quite firm with it, because you've got to scrub it off, and always check the bits that rub against your horse. Also, the more often you clean your tack, the easier it is, because it's not so dirty. You can, if you're going to a show, you can take it apart, undo all the buckles, and you can strip clean it, but that takes quite a long time, so I don't normally bother unless I'm going somewhere really special. And if you have a new bridle, it could be a good idea to use special foil so that it's nice and supple for your horse.
And then you just keep going with that. So I'm doing my reins now, and then I'll do my breastplate and my head collar, just to get all the grease off and make your tack nice and clean.
But now that's all clean, I'm just going to clean the bit and let that hang up so it dries while I go and clean the saddle. Now your bit's actually the most important part of your bridle to clean, because it's got to go in your horse's mouth. So if you don't have time to clean your bridle or your saddle every time you ride, you should at least run your bit under a tap or dunk it in a bucket of water so that that's clean for your horse the next time you ride. The saddle's exactly the same. You go over it with water first, clean it and get all the grease off, but hopefully it won't take as long. when you're doing your saddle, the things that you need to have a look out for are the stitching at the top of your stirrup leathers, so under here, because that can come loose, and also on your girth straps. So I've got a mono flap jump saddle, so my straps are a lot longer, but you can still check the stitching under here. But if you've got a saddle with a flap, it'll be up at the top. You want to check your stitching. Okay, and then I'm going to dunk my stirrup in the water so we can get that cleaned as well. Because if you've got a clean saddle and dirty stirrups, that's no good. And also if you've got bits of mud stuck in your stirrups, that's not going to help with the grip. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. So now the tack's clean, we're going to condition it. I use just bar soap, it happens to be naff, but there are lots of different brands. There is lots of different types of soap you can get. You can get soft soaps, you can get more conditioner ones, you can get like ones that are just one step, but whatever you prefer and works well for your tack. With the bar, you have to get it a little bit wet first, like your soap bar. So I just dunk a corner in the water and tip off the excess. You don't want it so wet that's going to be white foam on your sponge, because that's not going to help your tack, but just enough that you get enough on your sponge that you can make it all shiny. Okay, so I'll start with my head collar this time because it's on its own and that's got to go away first. So you just go over and you coat it and just work it in the same, cover all the areas that you did with the water, just to make sure that you condition it as well as you can.
And then same as last time, just continue with the rest of your tack.
We've started to have a bit more rain recently. If your tack gets wet while you're out and about, the best thing you can do is either try to leave it to dry, give it a pat with a towel, and then put some conditioner in. If it's really muddy, like say you've been out hunting or you got caught in the rain and there's lots of puddles, then give it a clean and condition it as soon as possible. Because if you leave leather to dry out, if it's got wet, it'll be really stiff. So the best thing you can do is get some conditioner or oil on it as soon as possible. When you put your bit back on, the way you know that it's the right way round is if you put it together, there should be the little dips should come together nicely so it's flat. If it's the wrong way round, then it'll curve in like that. That's the wrong way round. Some bits, if you've got a no-shearer bit, they might have a mark on the side that will tell you which is the right way up. Okay, so there are two ways of tying up your bridle to make it look nice and neat. You can either get the throat lash, tuck it through the reins and just do it up and then do the noseband, or you can do a cross. I think that looks a bit smarter. So you get your throat lash, take it round the front, at the back, pass it through the reins, go back across the front and then do it up the buckles, and then you just do the noseband up around all of it. I don't always do the noseband up, but I think if you're going to a show, it's much better because it just keeps it all together and you're not likely to lose any of it or get anything caught on it. So before we soak the saddle, I'm just going to dry off my stirrups, because if you don't, then the water can run down the saddle and leave streaks and it just doesn't look very nice. So I've got a towel, I'm just going to give them a rub to get the worst of the water off. There we go, the other one. And then use the same soap that you did in your bridle for the saddle and try and get it in as many places as you can, just so you get good coverage. You don't always want to do too much on the seat depending on your saddle. This saddle is quite good and it's not too slippery, but you get some that quite, especially the older ones, that can be a bit hard and shiny anyway, so you probably don't want as much slip on them. And you can really see the difference on the saddle where you put the conditioner on, because it just looks a lot shinier and a lot nicer. And then, like I did on the side, run the stirrup up so that when you take it down it's not going to bang you on the leg. And so it's all nice and neat and out of the way. And then I'm going to put a cover on so that it doesn't get dusty. This isn't the cover for this saddle, but it'll do at keeping the dust off. And then I'll just pop it away. And then so that it's ready for next time, I'm going to get a fresh numbner out because the one from today got a bit sweaty. So that when I go to use it again, nice clean numbner for my horse. And that's it, we're done. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, then make sure you head over to our channel to see our other videos. You can check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we're on Instagram and Facebook. We'd love you to get in touch and DM us with your ideas, or you can leave a comment below. Bye!